Joining me now with the very latest on this two-front debacle is the National Security Advisor of the United States, Michael Waltz. Sir, great to see you. Michael, thanks very much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. And just to build on both Secretary Besson and Ambassador Witkoff's comments there, what you're seeing under President Trump's leadership in just under a month is bringing multiple wars to an end. He is a president of peace. And on the Ukraine-Russia side, you're seeing, number one, a reformulation of how the United States provides aid, a partnership with Ukraine economically in their critical minerals, and really reformulating that so that the American people can see a return on this massive investment they've made. That's one. Number two, we go to a ceasefire. Number three, we reformulate how the United States deals with Russia. We saw that first step with President Trump talking to both Putin and Zelensky, and then the further engagement in Riyadh. And then number four, engagement with our European allies, as you see the president of France and the prime minister of the United Kingdom coming to Washington this week. And we welcome their ideas for security guarantees and European leadership to take care of Europe's security going forward. All of that is happening at the same time that we're getting our hostages out of the Middle East. Steve Witkoff leading that effort. And by the way, we must see the destruction of Hamas and Iran staying on its back foot, for which all options are on the table. 1 month, Maria, under President Trump's leadership. And I haven't even gotten to the border, the cartels, deportation, and everything else that's going on.
You're right. You're doing an incredible job. The administration handling so much at one time. I want to go back to Israel in a moment. But you mentioned European leaders, and I know that many of them were also unnerved by President Trump calling Zelensky a dictator. The Wall Street Journal this morning writes a U.S. president's pivot to Russia. We all can agree that nobody wants to see a bully win and win more territory. Can you acknowledge that Russia is the aggressor here?
Well, you know what? Who would you rather having go toe-to-toe with the likes of Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, Xi, or anyone else? Joe Biden or Donald Trump? He's the deal maker in chief. He's the commander in chief. And it's only because of his strength that we're even in this position. And President Trump's own words have been that Russia invaded a neighbor under Bush, under Obama, and under Biden, but not him. It didn't happen his first term, and he's going to bring it to an end his second term. And I just laid out the framework to do that, that we are all. He has a great team around him that everybody is moving out on simultaneously, from our Secretary of Treasury to our Secretary of State to our Secretary of Defense and, of course, our special envoy. And that's what's going on. And, you know, people are welcome to bring better ideas, but all I've heard is perpetuate more war. And that is, no one should be surprised that that's not what President Trump campaigned on or intends to do.
Well, look, let me move on to the conflict on Israel. And of course, we've been watching this week these atrocious moves by Hamas, celebrating dead hostages. We've got to get your take on this, because at some point, doesn't the civilized world say enough is enough? We cannot go on like this with 3 hostages released here, 3 hostages dead released here. We don't know whose body it is. Are you expecting to enter what is called phase 2 in this negotiation? Can you even continue to negotiate with Hamas if you're supportive of Israel?
Well, I'll tell you, number one, we are working with our partners, both the Egyptians and the Qataris, to get the rest of the hostages out. President Trump is committed and determined to do that. He's also horrified by these scenes, by this despicable behavior. And just remember, just 6 months ago, you had college campuses and administrators and progressives celebrating this group, Hamas, that is no different than ISIS, Al-Qaeda, or any of the other worst terrorist organizations in the world. I wouldn't look. This behavior over this last week with these children, with how these people have been released, this propaganda absolutely is affecting the prospects of negotiations. We'll see how that unfolds this coming week. There may be some type of continued extension of what we're doing right now Hamas needs to change to yesterday in how it's conducting this. It's unacceptable, not just to the Israelis, but the entire world. And I'll tell you, the end goal of Hamas cannot and will not be allowed to rule Gaza going forward and ever do this again is absolutely also in play.
Should Israel destroy Iran's nuclear buildup?
Well, Maria, all options are on the table there. Look,
okay.
I wouldn't. If Iran stepped forward tomorrow and gave the entire thing up, which they absolutely should, we would certainly entertain that. But at the same time, they cannot have a nuke, and all options are on the table to make sure that doesn't happen.
I know Egypt is hosting this emergency Arab summit on March 4th. They're going to have their own ideas. Do you have any expectations there in their discussions over Gaza? Real quick.
If you don't like President Trump's ideas, which are practical and common sense, come forward with your own. And that's what we're seeing happen because of his leadership.
National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, thank you so much for being here. We so appreciate it.